Welcome to Drinks and a Movie, the podcast pairing great films with great booze. Fair warning, spoilers up ahead.
See reflections on the water, more than darkness in the depths. See him surface in every shadow. On the wind I feel his breath. Goldeneye, no time for sweetness, but a bitter kiss will bring him to.
Now here's your host, Rudy Ruiz.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Drinks and a Movie 007 series. Today we are moving on to Bond number 17. This is 1995's Goldeneye, which would see kind of a revival of the franchise, if you want to call it that, now starring Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. But first, I didn't even get prepared with the glass. Let's get into the drink for this episode. I'm going to move on to something pretty special here. I'm going to do the 2024 Jack Daniel's Coy Hill, a single barrel special release. It's about, I want to say these came out at like 11 years old, and mine is, helicopter going by, 123.3 proof. So this is Coy Hill Barrelhouse 8. I haven't tried my bottle yet. I've opened it and I gave a sample to someone, but I haven't even had it myself yet. So let me grab myself a glass real quick. All right, let's go ahead and pop this open. Just a little bit. Don't need to drink too much of this right now. So again, Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. This is the 2024 release. They did another release of it. That was the hazmat versions that came out. I think that was 2021 or 2022. So this is kind of the new rendition. They were not hazmat, which I know a lot of people were disappointed by. Because yeah, in that case, it's like, well, how far is it just from your typical Jack Daniel's, single barrel proof, which are really good whiskeys that are pretty widely available. Highly recommend them. Let's see here. I'm just going to swirl it up, give it some airtime. Let me see if I can read a little more details on this. All right, let's see. Let's see if this has me a little different. So reading this off the distiller app. Like the 2021 and 2022 special releases, this bottling features Tennessee whiskey, which was aged on Coy Hill, the highest hill on Jack Daniel's property in Lynchburg. However, this release was made with whiskey pulled from the 5th or 6th floor rather than the top floor, aged just shy of 11 years. The Tennessee whiskey was distilled in September 2013 and bottled as single barrel expressions in August 2024. The proofs range from 122 to 137.5. Yeah, so here we go. Let's dig in. I have tried this once before at the Cove, and it stuck out to me because I didn't get the typical Jack Daniel's banana and those kind of dark flavors. I remember it being much more fruit forward, like fruit candy kind of thing, like red berries, cherry and stuff like that. Strawberry. Let's see if that's gonna be the same right now. Here we go. Oh man, I mean right now off the nose, a hint of that banana, like a banana with the cinnamon and like dark burnt brown sugar or something like that. Rich, I get that oak. Yeah, nose is very nice. Definitely strong with the alcohol right now. I'm trying to swirl it a little more, give it a little more, air it up, aerate it a bit. Yeah, well, here we go. I'm going for the taste. Man, I love it. It is a really nice, like dark amber too. There we go. Cheers. All right, I'm going to go in for a second sip. This is my first drink of the day. I should have warmed up with that Jack Daniel's Bonded. So just getting acclimated. Here we go. Let's go in for sip number 2. That is a strong one. Obviously, I mean, I feel like it kind of matches the palate. I get that oak, like some burnt, dark, rich brown sugar. Not so much of the banana flavor, but definitely like a cherry or a strawberry, like red fruit kind of flavor. Yeah, I mean, some black pepper, some strong spice for sure. It's a really good one. It doesn't blow me away the way the original Coy Hill release did the first time I tried that. But it is good. I don't remember the price I got it for, but as always, they can be pretty pricey. I know I found a decent deal on it. I don't remember though. And I mean, honestly, at this point, they're probably not even floating around anymore. You might be lucky to find one. And I know I've seen places sell the first Coy Hill for like $700-800, which is insane. But yeah, I'm probably going to talk about this more at the end. I'm going to let it continue to open up. But right now I can say it matches the palette. So let's go ahead and discuss this movie, everyone. Goldeneye from 1995.
When the world is the target.
72 hours ago, a secret weapon system was detonated over Seven Iron.
And the threat is real.
Goldeneye exists. A radiation surge that destroys everything with an electronic circuit.
You can still depend on one man.
I want you to find Goldeneye.
3,
Find who took it.
2,
And stop it.
1.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
The world's most famous secret agent is back.
We aim to please.
And this time, 007 is facing the ultimate enemy. The man who knows him best.
Hello, James. What an unpleasant surprise.
006.
What's the message? No pithy comeback?
He was your friend, and now he's your enemy and you will kill him.
Is the satellite in range? Target is London.
Now, the entire world is about to be caught in the crossfire.
See you in hell, James. You first. Kill him.
The pleasure will be all mine.
Did you check her out? Head to toe.
3 clicks, arms the fuse. Don't say it.
The writing's on the wall?
Grow up, 007.
I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War.
No, James. I was always better.
Both of you, stop it! You like boys with toys. Trick is to quit while you're still a kid.
I wouldn't think of it.
Charming, sophisticated secret agent. Shaken but not disturbed.
Get us out of here!
Bond. Only Bond. Man just won't take a hint.
You don't need the gun.
That depends on your definition of safe sex.
On November 17th, United Artists brings you,
Trust me.
James Bond.
Why can't you just be a good boy and die? That's one trick I've never learned.
So it's crazy to be here in the 90s now. I mean, we're what, 70, 89, like over 30 years in at this point. We've gone from 1962. Now we're in 1995, which has been the longest gap the series has gone without a Bond movie. I mean, they were churning these out basically every other year. I think the longest gap before this was 3 years, I want to say at one point. But yeah, really like every other year. And now we're in a time where, you know, the Cold War is over. Obviously, the era and the vibe has been changing. We saw that in the late 80s with, you know, Timothy Dalton's movies. And it's too bad he gets a bad rap. You know, you heard me say in the License to Kill episode that I started to kind of dig what was happening. Like I missed the fun elements and all that. And it felt a little too jarring and different, especially coming after Roger Moore. But I don't hate it like a lot of other people do. And he almost would have been back, but since it took so long to get this movie done, because I guess there were some legal issues between the studio and Eon Productions or whatever, so it was kind of on a hiatus for a while. And, you know, Timothy Dalton ended up just deciding to leave because he's like, well, I'm not going to come back all these years later. So he's out. So now it's finally Pierce Brosnan's time to shine. And I know they were considering several other people. I heard that Liam Neeson was among them, but we've heard in the past that Pierce Brosnan was kind of on the list of people they had wanted and just things didn't work out because he was working on Remington Steele and stuff like that. But now it's his time to shine. And I mean, I have to say right out the gate, like, yeah, let's just jump into this. So we're directed by Martin Campbell now. John Glenn has done the last several movies. Now we've got a whole new director. And man, does he do a hell of a job just kind of, I don't know, kickstarting this for the next era. And what's interesting is he would also be hired to direct Casino Royale. So he kind of boosted it back up and almost revived it twice. And that reminds me, before I forget, two very important people whose names we've seen come up more and more in different roles within the credits is Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli. I believe they are step siblings. Obviously, you know, Broccoli. being the kids of Albert Cubby Broccoli. So at this point, I think I failed to mention that a few movies ago, Albert Broccoli like was getting pretty old and just couldn't be on set anymore. And, you know, Barbara and Michael got more involved and whatnot. So at this point, my understanding is that it's pretty much up to them. Like he's still around, but it's like, here, you two are the ones that are going to shepherd James Bond now. So they have the task of kind of bringing this back for a new era, a post-Cold War era. So I definitely got to throw that information out there because that'll continue, I think, to be important up to the present time. So, and we see, one thing that's been fascinating to me watching this, especially being a filmmaker myself, is when I am embarked on this journey of watching all the films, I was really excited to see how the filmmaking would change and evolve over those decades, like aesthetically and what was hip and just, again, like cameras and lenses becoming more advanced and lighting styles changing and whatnot. And I got to say, man, it didn't stick out to me so much. And I think it helps that I've been watching one of these movies basically every night for the most part. I mean, I skipped a couple nights, but almost every single night I've been watching one of these films. In some cases, I've even done two within one day. So the evolution has been very seamless to me, which is crazy, where it's like, I notice in some aspects like, oh, okay, you get to Diamonds Are Forever. It's like, oh, it's starting to look pretty 70s, and then Live and Let Die. All right, it's starting to get that way a little more. And then when you're in the late 80s, but for the most part, it felt pretty seamless, like now if I go back and watch a clip from say Thunderball or something, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, this looks like an old movie. But in the context of watching them all one after another, the evolution it's just been kind of interesting. Like I'm watching the 1989 License to Kill and I'm like, yeah, it just feels like a continuation of, Dr. No, like it all just kind of looks the same, which obviously it doesn't. And here's where in the filmmaking, we definitely see the biggest jump. So, there's a 6-year gap, which is kind of a shame. It would have been interesting to see it evolve into the 90s. I think part of what made it look kind of similar was the fact that John Glenn also directed 4 or 5 of the movies, I believe. I'm already forgetting. But we see here now being in 1995, how, like the style of filmmaking just in general is different. There's a lot more handheld. Action is covered a little more differently. It has a different vibe to it. The musical score by Eric Serra is interesting. I think it starts off okay in the opening sequence, but then just kind of doesn't work for me. It's very odd at points, especially after the opening credits, which we'll definitely get into in a second, when he's driving with the analyst or whatever, and then Xenia is like following him and they're playing their little race game or whatever. Very odd music choice. And it sucks because it makes it feel dated. As much as I love Bill Conti, I felt a similar way. And which movie did he do? I think that was For Your Eyes Only, I want to say. I could be mistaken. But when he took over for that film, he was leaning into a more 80s vibe, and just his style was different. And it felt more dated than what John Barry was doing. I mean, I feel like John Barry's music worked all the way through, and it's too bad that, at this point, he's out. Remember, I think it was Michael Kamen that did License to Kill. Now it's Eric Serra. And I heard that they even had some issues with him because there's a whole scene, I think the tank chase scene through St. Petersburg or whatever, they redid the music, like hired a whole other composer to do that part, because I guess he wrote some music that just was not not the vibe. And I can kind of see that. But yeah, let's start. I mean, talking about filmmaking changes here in the very beginning, the gun barrel sequence, you can tell it's updated. It's no longer practical. It's definitely like early CGI visual effects. Again, the music they use in that moment is completely terrible. I don't know why they just tried to even bother doing something different, but it's awful. But then from there, okay, we get into what I think so far might be the best, or easily one of the best cold opens of the series so far. We just get the plane going by, a gate opens, all of a sudden this dude's running. He's on this dam. We don't see his face. He does his bungee jump stunt. That's pretty cool. There's other moments where you see him, but he's silhouetted. So I like this. We can tell it's probably Bond, but they keep his face in shadow. And then eventually they reveal him in kind of a joke, which is a weird choice. Like they're building up this mystique around him and we know it's the new James Bond, and they kind of when they show his face, it's a joke because he's in the restroom hanging upside down and punches this guy. But I think it is good in setting a tone where it feels more where Timothy Dalton went a pretty dark direction. This feels like a good blend where it's like, oh, we're getting the one-liners back. We're getting a little bit of that Roger Moore humor, you know, some of the masculinity of Sean Connery, a little bit of that darker edge of Timothy Dalton. And I feel like they look slightly similar, you know, him and Dalton, like to a small degree, more so than Connery and Roger Moore looked, or Roger Moore and Dalton looked, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's all pretty cool. And I mean, we meet Agent 006. We see him with another 00 agent. We can see that they have a history and they're friends, and that's cool. They're both on this mission. And I'm not going to do the beat for beat, but man, it's just a kick-ass opening scene. And it's a little lengthy, but it's good for this. I think, you know, we're meeting the new Bond and all that. And God, I just love it. Like a good mix of like some humor and some serious stuff. And I have to say too, I mean, Matt Lackey and I think the first episode brought up, you know, soon after this movie came out, there was the Nintendo 64 game Goldeneye, one of the greatest and probably biggest games of all time. I remember getting that for Christmas and my brother and I always playing it. And I'm not super deep into games, but I can't help but feel that was in fact a game changer, and we wouldn't have all the first person shooters and this and that, you know, and that style the way it is today if it weren't for Goldeneye. That game was an absolute banger, man. It was so fun. Like, I think that was multiplayer. Like, that wasn't a thing yet until that came out, I want to say. People can correct me in the comments. You know, if you're a super big game fan and you know more, feel free to leave a comment and correct me. But that's just my take on it. You know, someone who was there and had it when it first came out and grew up with it. And it's cool to watch this movie and just see all those, you know, moments. Because I did see this movie later in life in small bits and pieces, but this was the first time I kind of saw it all the way through. My knowledge of it is really through the video game. But so that I think also helped kind of make it, revamp it into a big cultural moment. And for me, you know, growing up through the 90s, I guess Pierce Brosnan was pretty much my James Bond, you know, like where whatever you saw first and where you grew up, that's like your Bond. Now, as it stands, I think it's Connery for me, but I'll do that ranking later. But we get this kick-ass opening scene. It's so good. It's really exciting. You know, Pierce Brosnan's great. Sean Bean as Alec Trevelyan's great. We meet, you know, the other villain, the general, and getting into the opening credit music, man, this might be my favorite Bond song so far. Tina Turner doing Goldeneye. It's just so great. It's such a good one. It's one of the best in the series for me. When I eventually do my song ranking, this will for sure be, as it stands right now, top 3. You know, maybe it'll go down, but it's definitely going to be top 3. That's for damn sure. It's a banger song. Again, Goldeneye, Tina Turner, it's perfect. And, you know, I love the way it incorporates the theme, you know, like some of the other older songs did. And I will say, I think we mentioned that Maurice Binder, his last time doing the opening kind of title graphics and the silhouette stuff was, I believe, License to Kill, or maybe it was The Living Daylights. It must have been License to Kill. We don't have him anymore. I forgot who did it in this film, but it is very different. And now, again, we're incorporating visual effects and CGI. And it looks decent enough, but I already don't really care for it. I already miss the more practical, cool silhouette photography and projection effects they've been doing, you know, since the beginning. So I did bump on that. It's like, oh yeah, we're definitely in the mid 90s. We're starting to get this early CGI. And again, it doesn't look horrible, but I just, you know, prefer the other way of doing it. And they make it clear within this opening title sequence that I like about, you know, again, the Cold War's over. So you see a lot of that kind of visualized in the graphics. So we also got to bring up, you know, now we have obviously a recasting of quite a few people, a new Moneypenny. We have Dame Judi Dench is M now, who I think is a great M. And they addressed, again, the era of where we're at, you know, pretty swiftly when she meets with him and tells Bond that she thinks he's, and the way it is, it's like, you get the sense that, oh, she just got this position. You know, it's the first kind of woman to do that part, and she got this position. And I guess she was based off of, I don't remember the name, but based off of a real, like, MI5, like, lead director person, who was basically a real life M, is my understanding, during that time frame. So yeah, we get Judi Dench, and with his interaction with Moneypenny, they kind of let oh, she's a strong, independent woman, and I think she even brings up sexual harassment at one point. I don't know, that's a little weird, but then when we get to M and they have their discussion, I do like the way they address this, where she says outright, I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War, which seems to be a pretty famous line that a lot of people reference, but it's so well said and delivered, and the way she does it, I don't know, it really works. I feel like if they were to do that now in the era we're living in currently, it would be completely botched and completely trash. It's not anything to deflate or destroy him or make him weak, which I appreciate, but it is just letting us know, like, hey, we're in a different time. We're acknowledging that. Now we're moving on. And then you got to do that. I mean, this movie's been going on since 1962. Things have changed. So yeah, I like the way they address it in this. I think it was done well. And yeah, I mean, the movie, it's a banger movie. And this one, we get Famke Janssen, who, a lot of us know as Jean Grey in the X-Men movies, as Xenia Onatopp, kind of the femme fatale, evil henchwoman. And I think she's also one of the best ones so far, man. She's so great. One, she is incredibly hot. I just have to say that. She is smoking hot in this movie. And she's another one, who's using seduction tactics to assassinate people, get close to people so she can get whatever she needs to get out of them. She tries to use it on Bond, and they have a weird kind of sexy fight scene in like a bathhouse or whatever, which is pretty entertaining. And yeah, I mean, I think she's a good, cool character. It's kind of weird that they added this quirk with her, that she's clearly like super sadistic, but in like a fetishy way, where you can see that she gets like really turned on by killing people. So kind of an odd choice, but whatever. I'll take it. It's not the craziest thing we've seen. And yeah, so I think she's a really good villain, henchwoman. And I love, even at the end of the movie, because she doesn't manage to kill him at these certain opportunities. But at the end of the movie, when they get to Cuba in the jungle and she comes down on the helicopter and fights him, and even fights Natalia a little, or Natalia tries to swing on her, and she just dispatches her super easily. And she just looks really good. Like I buy that she is this like, ex-Russian like pilot, soldier or whatever. And I buy that she can, trade hands with Bond to some degree, and the way she looks, like her get up with like the gun on her back, and I don't know, just her like costuming, and she looks really tall and broad shoulder. Yeah, it makes me buy that she could actually, like I said, trade hands with him to some degree. And then she just gets crushed to death with a helicopter, between a helicopter and a tree. I would have liked to see them fight a little more, but it's all good. And again, it's nice to get some of the one-liners and humor back from Bond. That's something I've kind of been missing, when it started to get too serious. I was like, but let's keep it fun and light, So I do think Pierce Brosnan does a good job of kind of blending everything we've seen together so far, but of course with his own, vibe and his own charm and whatnot. I think this also has one of the better villains too, an Alec Trevelyan, like his motives and his background, and the fact that he was an agent alongside Bond. You get a sense of their friendship. He's dangerous in the sense that he knows a lot of his tricks and tactics. So I think that's really cool. And their fight scene at the end is one of the best fight scenes we've seen so far. Like, I think it's shot pretty well. It's again, a lot of handheld, but it's not so fast and cutty that you can't tell what's going on. It's cool to see Bond fight someone in a pretty brutal way that is pretty much like equally matched to him. I think it was a really good fight scene. He's the best villain we've seen in a while, I want to say. And again, the fact that they have a background and a history. Natalia is kind of the Bond girl that helps him out and is the computer programmer. I think she's fine. She's okay. She's not a standout to me in any way. Xenia is definitely, kind of more of a highlight. The general villain, just kind of another tertiary kind of villain guy. He was fine. We do get Robbie Coltrane in this. You might know him as Hagrid from the Harry Potter series. playing a character that Bond has, had a little issues with in the past, and he's got to get info from him. I mean, that's a fun little scene. And we get, what's his name? Joe Don Baker, who was in License to Kill. I thought this was really interesting. When I saw his name in the credits, I'm like, oh, they're bringing him back? Is he going to be the same, like, arms dealer bad guy since he wasn't American? But I swore they killed him off, and no, he's cast as now Jack Wade. So we saw him as, I forgot his name in The Living Daylights, which is crazy. It was only 2 movies ago, but he was like the villain of that movie. So it's interesting that they're using him again, but now he is the new kind of CIA friend that James Bond has. Felix Leiter, if you remember License to Kill, they maimed him and the shark ate his leg off. So now he's just kind of out, which is a bummer. It's like, especially as they change casting and they change eras, it's nice to have these recurring characters or cast members that kind of glue it all together and keep it similar. It's like we've already had so many recastings in this movie that it does feel quite a bit different in that way. But one bit of glue that we still have, thank goodness, the always great Desmond Llewellyn returning as Q. And thank goodness he's back, because, he's the one who definitely makes it feel, okay, this is all in the same. Again, he's been here since From Russia with Love in 1963. This dude is the longest standing cast member of the series by far. And I just always love to see him. I always love to see their interactions. It's really great. I'm going to miss him when he's gone, when we get to the Daniel Craig era. And yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much my take on the movie. Again, I'm not going to go beat by beat through all the scenes. I think the action is well shot, well directed. The fight scene between the villains at the end is good. The characters are awesome. I think Pierce Brosnan makes a really great James Bond. I think he kind of brings it back to a more fun vibe, and I do have to say too, Goldeneye, this movie, so this wasn't based off a novel, but Goldeneye, and I may have mentioned this before, was actually the name of Ian Fleming's Jamaican estate. Like, he had a home out there, he called it Goldeneye, and that's where he wrote the books. And it came from when he was working in, I think, SIS or whatever, intelligence. There was like a contingency operation that was called Goldeneye during World War II that he was like a part of. So in this one, it's kind of the satellite weapon key or whatever. I don't even remember, but it's called Goldeneye. So I like how they use that little bit. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I gotta say, well written, well directed, well acted. I think everyone's good in this movie. There's not really any weak links. Would have liked to see a little more fights last longer. I think this is one of the best villains so far. Easily one of the best songs. One of, if not the best cold openings. It was so fun to watch, and it's just a fun movie, and it really flies by. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention the tank chase scene in St. Petersburg, like halfway into the movie, 2/3 of the way in, is a really good fun time, man. It's like, it kind of reminds me of A View to Kill when they steal the fire truck and he's like swinging around on it. Like how it just seems like they're causing so much damage and all that. But this was better than that, like significantly better. Was that A View to a Kill? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. I really like this movie. I think when it comes down to the rankings at some point, this is going to sit pretty high. I think it's going to be pretty high up there in the favorites. So yeah, hopefully I'm not missing anything, but yeah, anyway, as always, everybody, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Did you love the video game? Do you love this movie? Do you think the movie sucks? I don't know. You let me know. I would like to hear more thoughts from everybody. But yeah, definitely digging Goldeneye. Anyway, that's a wrap on this one, everyone. Cheers.